Hello, everybody. I'm going to give folks just a second to get logged on, and then we will get started. All right, so welcome to the Rare Cross America training webinar. We appreciate you all being here and appreciate you all signing up to participate in Rare Cross America. Our goal is to have you prepared and ready to go by the end of this meeting. So let's go ahead and get started. We do have closed captioning available. If you're interested in using that, you can click the live transcript button at the bottom of your window and the transcription will begin for you. We also have Spanish translation services available. If you're interested in using that, you can click the link that Shannon is going to send in the chat for you all. And this is our agenda for today. So I'm going to go over some quick introductions of our team, and then I'm going to give you an overview of Rare Cross America and RDLA. We will go over the legislative ask for Rare Cross America. We'll give you some tips for successful meetings and some resources that you can use to prepare. And then we will discuss our upcoming training webinars and answer any questions that you guys may have. As we are going through today's webinar, if you do think of any questions, feel free to enter them in the Q&A box. All you need to do is click the Q&A button at the menu at the bottom of your screen. And Shannon is online and will be helping to answer your questions today. So this is our team that you have today. My name is Caitlin Laws. I'm the Associate Director of RDLA. And like I said, we're also joined by Shannon Von Felden, who is our Senior Director of Advocacy. And we are also joined by Dylan Simon, our Senior Director of Policy. So a little bit about RDLA, or Rare Disease Legislative Advocates. RDLA serves as an advocacy center and a platform for the entire rare disease community. We do not represent only one disease, but rather the entire rare disease community. We provide resources and tools for individual advocates as well as patient organizations. All events and resources that we offer are free and again available to the entire rare disease community. And we are a program of the Every Life Foundation for Rare Diseases. I'm sure you've all been on our website at this point, but if you haven't, you can go to rareadvocates.org to check out all of our programs and resources. I'm going to quickly go over all of these programs listed here for you, but these are all of the different ways that you can get involved with RDLA. The first is our monthly webinars. With the exception of July and August, we do webinars every month. And these webinars are on timely topics and are intended to inform the rare disease community and give you guys some action items that you can leave the meeting and go forward with. Of course, we have Rare Disease Week on Capitol Hill. This takes place in February during Rare Disease Week each year. This event includes meetings with members of Congress, a congressional caucus briefing, documentary screening, rare artist reception, all kinds of fun things, and all kinds of opportunities to network and meet other rare disease patients and caregivers. Of course, you have Rare Cross America. You all are here for this, so you are familiar with Rare Cross America. And then our Rare Voice Awards take place at the end of each year. And this is an award ceremony that really celebrates the champions in the rare disease space and their work over the past year. We have our Youth and Teen Advocacy Day, which is a Hill Day specifically for youth and teens. We just wrapped this up and it was a wonderful event. We had kids of all ages and teenagers joining us to meet with their members of Congress to talk about policies that impact pediatric rare disease patients. So that event was phenomenal. Of course, we also work closely with the Rare Disease Congressional Caucus, and we co-host 4 briefings a year with the caucus. And then Rare Advocacy Learning is another one of our newer programs. This program is a free 6-week seminar series, and we do it each spring with a different topic. So stay tuned for our next Rare Advocacy Learning topic. And then last but not least, we have Rare Giving, which is our program that allows us to provide sponsorships to other rare disease organizations. So if you are joining from another rare disease organization and you are seeking sponsorship for 2025, we are offering 2025 sponsorships for both events and tools and resources. So be sure to check out our Rare Giving website. All right, so what is Rare Across America? This event is the opportunity for you to meet with your U.S. representatives and U.S. senators. You will be meeting with your representatives at their in-state, in-district offices. So each member has an office not only in DC, but as well as an office or multiple offices back in their respective districts at home. So those are the offices that you will be doing your in-person meeting at if you did sign up for those. And then, of course, the senator meetings will be virtual. This event is really a great opportunity to introduce yourself to your members of Congress and educate them on the lived experience of having a rare disease, as well as educate them on the issues that are most important to the rare disease community. And we are going to get to those in just a bit. So how does Rare Across America work? At this point, you have all registered and signed up for Rare Across America, which is great. Whenever you registered, you indicated your availability. You should have entered the dates that you are not available for meetings between August 5th and 16th. So we will schedule everyone's meetings based on the availability that you entered whenever you registered. And again, all of the Senate meetings will be virtual. They will not be in person. And all of the House meetings will be in person at the members in district office. We are not requesting any House meetings to be virtual, but I do want to flag that some offices are still doing virtual meetings. So if your representative is someone that is not back to in-person meetings yet, you may have a virtual House meeting, but that will be on a case-by-case basis. And you will be able to see that information when you get your meeting schedule. So we also assign team coordinators to meetings with 5 or more advocates. And the team coordinator's job is really to help organize the meeting and build the meeting agenda. So a team coordinator is going to be someone who has participated in Hill Days before and has a good idea of what an agenda should look like. So stay tuned for more information on team coordinators as well. And to schedule your meetings, we work with a third-party firm called Advocacy Associates. They will be the ones that email you your meeting schedule, and that is going to be emailed to you on July 22nd. So that's 2 weeks out from meetings is when you will get your meeting schedule. When you do get that email from Advocacy Associates, go ahead and click the link to open up your meeting schedule. And if you see that you're not available for the times or dates that are listed on your schedule, email me and let me know, and I will take care of it. You will also receive an email with a reminder about each of your meetings. You will get these emails 48 hours before your meetings and 1 hour prior to your meetings. So this is just meant to help serve as a friendly reminder. So our goals for Rare Across America are to advance legislation that will benefit the rare disease community and to strengthen relationships with members of Congress and their staff. You all probably hear this often, but a best practice of effective advocacy is to build personal relationships with your members of Congress. We believe this is how we build rare disease champions in Congress. And it's important to note that we do need to gain allies on both parties. So important to note that these meetings should be bipartisan. You will be discussing bipartisan pieces of legislation. So no matter what party your member is in, we ask that you do keep your meetings respectful and partisan and nonpartisan, because like I said, we do need champions on both sides of the aisle. And this is a chart that we like to show advocates prior to meetings, just to show really the impact of these meetings. So this chart here shows different ways that you can interact with your members of Congress and which ones members of Congress said impacted their decision making the most. So you can see at the top here that in-person visits from constituents is most likely to impact the way that your member of Congress votes. And the next impact was just contact from constituents. So no matter if you are doing a virtual meeting, an in-person meeting, if you are simply attending a large meeting and you just want to listen and maybe not share your story, all of that is important. So again, we appreciate you guys for being here and for taking the time to participate in these meetings in August. All right, so I'm going to turn things over to Dylan Simon, our Senior Director of Policy. And Dylan is going to walk you guys through the legislative ask for Rare Across America.
Sure. Thank you, Caitlin. I'm excited to be here today to talk about some important legislative asks, and we're really excited about this year's Rare Across America. And so next slide, please. So what is an ask? And so I know for many of you, you may have heard this before, but always good to reiterate. When going into these meetings, it's important to have these very specific requests of the office. Please support this bill. Please join this caucus. Please vote yes on this piece of legislation. It's important to have a clear ask because, one, it makes their jobs easier, which is always good for you as the advocate, making their lives a little easier. Two, it saves them time on the back end to try to understand how best they can support you on the issue. And three, it's also important to remember they have huge portfolios. And so if you have a clear bill number, clear request, it's just going to streamline the process. And so with that, I'll walk you through some of the few asks we have for you today. So one would be the co-sponsor the Accelerating Kids Access to Care Act. And so currently, if a patient with Medicaid needs to see a provider outside the state, it's a very time-consuming process. They have to get certain approvals, usually have to go through the state Medicaid program, and it just is a bureaucratic nightmare. And we know that time can severely impact members of the Rare community as they're searching for either care or diagnosis, because we all know the impact of getting either a timely diagnosis or timely care. And so the Accelerating Kids Access to Care Act really would help to change this process by making a faster, more streamlined process for doctors to enroll in another state's Medicaid program. And what that would do is it would really save time. And so it would ensure the fact that if you have to go receive out-of-state care, which is quite common, as many of you are aware within the Rare community, that's going to be easier to get to those communities, get to those physicians and see and get the treatment and diagnosis that you need so much. And so the specific ask is to co-sponsor the Accelerating Kids Access to Care Act. So in the Senate, you can see the bill 2372 is still within committee, and getting a co-sponsorship will help to ensure the fact that it might receive that markup and start to build momentum. And on the House side, it has passed out of committee, but it's still important to increase that co-sponsorship level to ensure the fact that it does receive a vote in the full House chamber, because there are many bills that pass out of committee, and there's only so much time on the House floor. And so by growing that co-sponsorship list, it can indicate to leadership that this is an important bill that many members of their community, of their caucus support, and want to bring it to the floor itself. And so even though it's already started to move through committee work, on the House side, it's still important to build that co-sponsorship list. Next slide, please. Next is the Help Copays Act. And so there are many within the Rare community that are facing barriers to therapy, and there are administrative hurdles such as prior authorization, step therapy that can really limit their access to specialty care. This is generally viewed as utilization management, and one way that is done is through what is known as copay accumulators. And what essentially this does is it makes it harder pay for your medication. There's a very complicated way in which this happens. Essentially, there is ways to get copay assistance from various organizations, whether it be directly from the pharmaceutical company or from a third-party organization. And what this does is copay accumulators essentially do not allow your individuals to start bringing down their deductible using their copay assistance. And so essentially allows a form of double dipping. And so what this legislation does, it requires health plans to count the value of copay assistance towards the cost sharing requirements. So again, this will bring much needed relief to members of the patient population, and will be really impactful to the full community. And again, the ask here is to co-sponsor the bill, again, for similar reasons as I talked about with the Senate version of the Accelerating Kids Access to Care Act, is this will help to move the bill forward and really highlight the importance of legislation to the leadership of both committee and the chamber as a whole. And next slide, please. The last ask today is around the Creating Hope Reauthorization Act. And so what this does is this has to do with the Pediatric Priority Review Voucher Program. And this is a program that really helps to expedite development of drugs within rare pediatric diseases. And it helps to address some of the concerns around therapy development for this population due to the nature of the small population, due to the challenges of pediatric clinical trials. The PRV program provides a financial incentive to help address some of those challenges and ensure the fact that we're getting more biotech and pharmaceutical companies invested in pediatric rare diseases. And so currently, Congress must pass an extension for the program prior to September 30th. If they don't, FDA will not be able to issue PRVs after September 30th of 2026. So that, I know that can be a little confusing in terms of why by 2024 to do by 2026. Essentially what that will do is the issuing of PRV is a two-step process, and it eliminates the ability to continue to issue the opportunity to receive a PRV, and then it will eliminate the ability to then resubmit that PRV to receive that priority review voucher. And so it's really important to have that extension by the end of September. We have seen progress in the House and recent progress in the Senate by seeing the bill introduction. And so again, the ask is to co-sponsor the Creating Hope Reauthorization Act, again, to help indicate on the House side that the importance of this legislation to move through committee where it's already started to move through committee. And then on the Senate side to highlight the importance of the legislation as a whole to both committee and party leadership. And I believe the next slide is if you have any questions, right? If you have any questions, please feel free to ask. I will look through the chat as well to help answer any questions, and happy to be of help.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Dylan. One question that I see in the Q&A is, will there be any materials provided to help with these asks? So we are providing you all with one-pagers on each of the asks. Those will be available to you very soon. So keep an eye out in your email. We will send you all an email once they are available on the website. Let's see, I'm not seeing any other questions related to the ask, but if you do think of any, feel free to put them in the Q&A box, and either Dylan or myself will get back to you. Awesome. All right, let's keep moving. Okay, so what should you expect during your meetings? Whenever you go into your meetings, each advocate should have the opportunity to introduce themselves at the beginning. So your introductions should just be your name and where you're from in the state. Next, your group will want to move on to stories. So a minimum of 2 advocates per meeting should share their rare disease story. We will go over how to do this a bit more in the Share Your Story webinar next week. So just a quick plug for that. If you're interested in learning how to tell your story or practicing sharing your story, definitely be sure to register for next week's Share Your Story webinar. But those stories should be between 60 and 90 seconds each, a minimum of 2 per meeting. It's very important that the members of Congress and their staff hear these stories and hear about your experiences, because it's going to inform the decisions that they make on legislation that will impact the rare disease community. So after stories, you will move into ask. The ask is, again, what you are trying to get your member of Congress to do. So the number of advocates that make an ask will just depend on the size of your meeting. If you are in a House meeting, it's going to be a smaller group, and so then everyone will likely have time to make an ask. But if you're in a Senate meeting, it could be a large group up to 30 folks, and your meeting could be 15 to 30 minutes. And so in that situation, there would not be time for everyone to make an ask, but everyone should still get time to introduce themselves. At the end of the meeting, once you have all introduced yourself, shared your story, and made your ask, be sure to thank the member or staffer for meeting with you. And if you haven't already, this is a great time to ask for a photo. And of course, if there's extra time at the end of the meeting and you've given the member and their staff time to speak and ask you all questions, then this is when you can encourage others in the meeting who maybe didn't have an opportunity to do so to share for a couple of minutes. And I don't want, the size of your meeting to intimidate you. Like I said before, there will be team coordinators in these larger meetings who have, been to these meetings and led them and organized them before. So for those larger meetings, you are going to have someone helping you all build an agenda. Your team coordinators are going to reach out to you via email, probably next week. So keep an eye out for that. If you're really wanting to speak and share your story during your meeting, then be sure to respond to your team coordinator and let them know that so that they can build you into the agenda. All right, so I'm going to focus in on the different parts of the meetings now and talk a little bit more about stories. So the goal of sharing your story with your member of Congress is to make them or their staff aware of the challenges that the rare disease community faces. And like I said, a minimum of 2 advocates per meeting should be able to share their story. If you're in a smaller meeting, then of course more people should be able to share. Each advocate that shares their story should share for no longer than 60 to 90 seconds. You should really think of this as an elevator pitch. So if you were to get on the elevator with your member of Congress and you only had until they get off to tell your story, that's how succinct you should think of being in these meetings. You're really wanting to hit on the high level points of your story. So again, if you're interested in learning more about sharing your story, I encourage you to join the Share Your Story with Policymakers webinar next week. It's going to be on the 25th. We'll get started at noon and it will last for an hour. If you're not able to join this webinar live, it is going to be recorded. During this webinar, we go into breakout rooms and give advocates a chance to practice sharing their story with a coach. That portion will not be recorded, but we will record the instructional portion. And we do have worksheets that go along with this as well. So if you're not able to attend, you will still have the recording and the worksheets that you can use to prepare yourself. And then let's talk about the ask a little bit. Your goal here is to get your member of Congress to take action on your priority. So when you're making your ask, you want to be sure to be specific. Like Dylan said, they have a host of things going on, so the more specific you can be, the better. If your ask is for your member to join the Rare Disease Congressional Caucus, then you should say, I'm asking you to please become a member of the Rare Disease Congressional Caucus. Or if your ask is a bill, then you should say, I'm asking you to please co-sponsor, and then whatever the bill number. Again, each advocate should make no more than 1 ask per meeting. This is just to give time for everyone to make an ask to their member. And of course, your ask should be no longer than 60 seconds long. Again, just for the purpose of leaving time for others to speak as well. So whenever you're thinking about what you want your ask to be, it's important to choose legislation that is most important to you and connect it to your story. So again, this is something that we're going to talk about in the Share Your Story webinar. But if anything Dylan just said about any of the legislative asks really resonate with you and really tie to your experience, then that's a great way to make your ask, because you are going to share your story, share a little bit about your experience and how this bill could solve the problems that you've been having. If you choose to make an ask that is not one of the RDLA suggested asks that we just covered, you're welcome to do so. But we do require you to create a one-pager on whatever your ask is going to be. So like I said previously, you will get one-pagers on each of the legislative asks Dylan covered. But we have more information for you on our website on how to create your own one-pager if you choose to do so. And it's also important to note that when you're selecting your ask, you should be sure that your member has not already done the action that you're asking them to do. So for example, if your member is already on the Rare Disease Congressional Caucus, you shouldn't make this your ask, but you can thank them for taking that action. And that's the same for any of the asks. If your member has already co-sponsored the Accelerating Kids Access to Care Act, and that's really your priority, then you don't need to make that your ask, but you can go into the meeting and thank them for their co-sponsorship. All right, so a little bit more about how to prepare your own one-pager. Again, this is just if you are making an ask outside of the legislative asks that we have covered. If you're doing any of those, we'll have one-pagers for you. But if you'd like to make your own, please be sure to keep it brief and present the information in clear, concise bullet points. You want to be sure to include a brief statement explaining your organization, if you're joining with an organization, or a brief statement explaining your disease. Excuse me. You also want to be sure to include a brief summary on what the legislation is that you're asking them to support and what it will do. And then, of course, making your ask. So we do have, you can see in this screenshot here, a one-pager on how to make your own one-pager. That is available on our website if you are interested in creating this resource. All right, so I'm gonna go into a little bit more of the resources that we have to help you prepare for your meetings. Our website is currently in the process of being updated, and once it is updated, when you go to the Rare Cross America website, it will look like this. So you will have one box that you can click on that will have everything you need to prepare for and execute your meetings. And then over here on the other side, you have another box that you can go to for everything that you will need to follow up after the meetings. So I'm going to walk you through the resources to help you prepare. Of course, we have one-pagers on all of the legislative asks. We will also include more information on meeting structure and a sample agenda. This piece here, I think, is going to be really important because we have created a meeting structure and sample agenda based on how many people are in your meeting. So if you're worried about folks not having time to speak, this will be really great for your group to help coordinate and plan your agenda. We also have a tab for useful links, and this includes everything from a glossary of advocacy terms to a one-pager on how to create your own one-pager. This also includes a mock meeting video that you can watch for an idea of what your meeting will look like. So lots of good, useful resources there. This is also where you will be able to find the training webinar recordings. So today's webinar, as well as the Share Your Story webinar, will both be recorded. So they will be placed here on the website for advocates to view whenever you would like. So this is where you'll be able to find those. We also have a frequently asked questions section here. So any question that you could think of, we've tried to include it here with an answer. But of course, if you go check this out and your question's not listed there, you're welcome to reach out to me and I will take care of getting all your questions answered. We also have a tab for how to ask for a photo during your meeting, especially if it's a virtual meeting. And then there's going to be a tab on sharing your experience on social media. So this is where you will be able to find a printable sign that you can take photos with for your virtual meeting. I have a photo of it in a few slides that I will show you, but it's just a sign that says Rare Cross America 2024, and you can print that out and hold it up to take a photo with your members if you'd like. And then, of course, the code of conduct for Rare Cross America will also be listed on this part of the website. And if you can't find what you're looking for, feel free to email me and I will find it for you. All right, so I'm now going to walk you through what to expect before, during, and after your meetings. So what to do before your meetings. It's important that you take some time to learn about the member that you're meeting with. Check out their website, especially their press releases and newsletters. This is a good way to see what your member's office is working on, what their policy priorities are, and you can kind of see if there's something that you can tie in to your ask that way. It's also helpful to look on their social media accounts to see what issues are their priorities, what are they talking about. So that's another great way to learn about what your member is focusing on. It's also important to learn about your asks. So learn about the bills that you want to discuss before you go in and know the bill numbers. Again, it's also important to check whether your member has not already done the item that you're asking them to do. And again, if they have, then just thank them for their support on that issue. It is very important that you coordinate before your meeting. It's essential that you coordinate with your team to determine who wants to make an ask, who wants to share their story. And we encourage each attendee to only make one ask in order to leave time for everyone to speak. Again, if you are in a meeting with 5 or more advocates, you will have a team coordinator that is going to help you out with this. But if you are in a smaller meeting, or if you're in a group where there were no volunteers for a team coordinator, then it will be up to you all to coordinate together. If you are in a meeting that's large enough for a team coordinator, but no one volunteered, then I will reach out to your group to let you all know that so that you can begin planning together. It's also important to practice both your personal story and your ask. Again, pick the talking points that are most relevant to you and practice how you want to share your story and how you want to make your ask when it is time for your meetings. So during your meetings, in order to be successful, we encourage you to arrive early, especially for those in-person meetings. So sometimes these buildings can be a little bit confusing to navigate. So especially if you have an in-person meeting, we encourage you to show up early and make sure that you are there in the office on time. If you have a virtual meeting, you're also welcome to join that early as well. If you see that you're no longer able to attend the meetings that are listed on your schedule, just reach out to me as soon as possible and let me know. Whenever you are in your meetings, it's very important to be respectful and be kind, not only of the member and their staff, but also to be respectful and kind of the other advocates that are going to be in your meeting with you. So when you're in your meeting, you know, like I said, be respectful to the advocates that are there with you. Remind yourself that you have all put a lot of time and effort into preparing for this meeting, and it's important that everyone has the opportunity to speak if they would like to do so. So just be respectful of everyone's time during the meeting, and of course, say thank you. Be sure to thank the member if they have supported rare disease legislation in the past, or if they are a member of the Rare Disease Congressional Caucus. If you've met with your members in the past, for maybe for Rare Disease Week, this past year you just met with them, maybe this is a chance to say thank you for meeting with us in February and for meeting with us again. We really appreciate it. Again, it's important to be sure to avoid talking politics. Rare diseases are nonpartisan, and we need champions on both sides. So whenever you're in your meeting, here's a little bit about what you can share. If you are advocating on behalf of someone and they're not there with you, it's always a great idea to bring in a picture of the patient so that the member or their staff can put a face to the person that you are talking about. If you are attending with an organization and you have a brochure on your organization, or maybe you have a brochure on your specific disease type, that is a great leave behind for your meetings so that the members or the staff can really familiarize themselves with the organization or the disease that you are joining from. It's important to leave them with your contact information. So if they do have any follow-up questions, they know where to find you. It's also, I'll say, important for you to get their contact information, but I'm going to get to that in a little bit for follow-up. It's also important that you bring the one pager on your legislative ask with you. So this is going to be really important for those in-person meetings, making sure that you have a copy of that one pager, and if not a physical copy, that you do email them a digital copy afterwards. Again, if you choose to do an ask outside of the suggested ask that we just covered, you are required to create a one pager on that ask. And again, we will provide you with one pagers on the RDLA suggested ask. So for the virtual meetings, here's some tips on how to look and sound your best. You want to make sure that you don't have a lot going on in your background. Maybe move the pile of laundry to the side. Make sure that the light from your windows is in front of you, that you're facing your windows rather than having your back to the window where you just look like a silhouette. We want them to be able to see your faces. And then, of course, join the meetings, the virtual meetings from a quiet place where there isn't going to be a lot of background noise. And if you are joining maybe from your lunch break at work where there might be some background noise, just mute yourself. And then, of course, you can always come off mute to speak. So when you're in your meetings, if you are asked a question that you do not know the answer to, that is okay. You are not expected to go into these meetings as a policy expert by any means. You are an expert on your experience and on your rare disease. And so please know that we do not expect you to be a policy expert. So if you go and you don't know the answer to a question that they are asking you, you can simply say, I am not sure, but I'll find the answer to your question and get back to you. Can I get your email so I can follow up with you? Or if you make your ask and your member or their staff tells you that they're not supportive of the ask, it's important to be respectful in response and just say, I'm sorry, we don't feel the same way. Hopefully there's something we can work on together in the future. And if you need help answering any questions, you can always come to the RDLA team and we will help you out with that. All right, so what to do after your meetings? Follow up by email with the staffer that you met with. This is very important. You will be able to do your follow-up on the Advocacy Associates platform. So while it is important to jot down the email address of the staffer you're meeting with, if for some reason you forget to, that's okay. You will be able to get that information from the Advocacy Associates platform. When you follow up with them, it's important to include your contact information so that they can get back in touch with you. It's important to include the one pager on your ask and to include what your ask was. This will just be a good reminder for them, and then they can use the one pager to kind of supplement what you talked about during your meeting. You will find on the Advocacy Associates platform a template for follow-up. So I think it's on one of the next slides, we've created a template that you guys can use for your follow-up, so you do not have to start from scratch. And you can also post about how your meetings went on social media using the hashtag RareAcrossAmerica2024. Of course, we would love for you to fill us in on how your meetings went once you have completed them. And you can do this by filling out the meeting report on the Advocacy Associates platform. And then after your meetings, continue to follow your member. Sign up for their newsletter if they have one. Follow them on social media. Be sure to attend any local events or town halls that they may be having. You can always call the member's office if there's any update on your ask or any rare disease legislation. You can always call to stay in touch that way. And then, of course, if you do see that your member completes your ask, be sure to thank them for doing so. Okay, so we're now back to the website. So resources for after your meetings. Once you have completed all of your meetings, you will be able to click the follow up after your meetings box on the Rare Cross America website. And it is going to take you to these resources. So here on the left, you will see the follow-up template that I mentioned previously. This will be on the website as well as in the platform for you to use. We will also have a link to the meeting report where you give us feedback and tell us how your meetings went. And you'll also be able to find resources for sharing about your meetings on social media. Again, be sure to share with us after your meetings. We love hearing about feedback from meetings. If someone just really shared their story beautifully, if someone really connected with a member or their staff, or the staff or member was really receptive to you in the meeting, we love to hear it. So be sure to, again, fill out the meeting feedback form to let us know how it went. And any pictures that you take during your meeting, feel free to email them to me, or you can post them on social media with the hashtag RareCrossAmerica2024. If you write a blog about your experience, we would love for you to share the link with us. And again, tag us in any of your Rare Cross America related social media posts. The sign that I mentioned earlier is pictured here. So you can thank your members on social media by posting the photo that you took with them. And again, be sure to use the hashtag RareCrossAmerica2024. Again, this sign will be on the website very soon. You'll be able to download and print it from there. All right, and we do have some more webinars for you all to supplement this one. Our next webinar for all attendees is going to be the Share Your Story with Policymakers webinar. Again, this is an opportunity for you to practice your pitch and receive feedback from coaches. And then our team coordinator webinar is going to be the day before on July 24th. We have not sent out team coordinator invites yet, but we will be doing that this week. So if you volunteered to be a team coordinator whenever you register, be sure to keep an eye out on your inbox for that invitation. I will note that not all meetings do need a team coordinator. So if you volunteer and you don't hear back from me, it's likely that your meeting simply was less than 5 advocates, and so we didn't need a team coordinator there. Some important reminders for you. If your availability changes or you're not able to schedule or not able to attend your scheduled meetings, please let us know right away. We understand last minute changes, vacations, getting sick, life happens. So feel free to email me as soon as you realize that you're not able to attend. Like I said, you will get an email with your meeting schedule on July 22nd. I encourage you to go ahead and click the link in that email once you receive it and check your meeting times. And then right away, if you are not able to attend any of those, let me know and I will take care of it. If you are unable to attend a meeting and you are the only advocate in the meeting, then we will try to reschedule that for you. But if you are attending a meeting with other advocates and you are unable to attend, then we will let the member's office know to expect one less advocate. And I just want to also note, like I said, we get it, life happens. If you're not able to attend, let us know. Uh, no showing for meetings reflects poorly not only on RDLA, but also on the rare disease community. Uh, the people that you all will be meeting with, the staffers and the members, are very busy and have very full days. So we want to be respectful of their time and not show up for meetings. So again, if you see that you're not able to attend, let me know. All right, and I'm going to look at the Q&A for any questions. One question I see is, how soon will schedules be available? You will receive your schedules 2 weeks prior to meeting starting. So you will get them on July 22nd via email from Advocacy Associates. All right, let's see. I'm searching through the chat for any questions. Here's one question. Can we do one of the RDLA suggested ask? And can we also do another ask? That's a great question. So if you are in a smaller meeting, then yes, that's fine. If you're in a large Senate meeting, it's unlikely that you're going to have time to make 2 asks. So for the Senate meetings, I would select one or the other. And one good way to determine which ask you might want to make for each meeting is to see if either senator has already co-sponsored or supported the ask that you're planning to make. And then when you're in your smaller House meetings, that's when you'll likely have more time to do both asks.
Caitlin, there's a question about whether other advocates will be in meetings and how they'll know that. Can you go over that a little bit?
Yes, definitely. So it is very likely that you will have another advocate in your meeting with you. So basically what we do is we will group you with advocates that live in your congressional district or within your state. So for your Senate meetings, you are going to be meeting with other advocates from your state. For your House meetings, if there are other advocates that are registered within your congressional district, then they will also be in your meetings with you. Once you receive your meeting schedule, you will be able to tell if you have advocates in your meeting with you. You'll open up your schedule and it will have all your meetings listed. Just click on each one individually and you will be able to see the list of attendees. And like I said earlier, if you do have a team coordinator, they will be reaching out to those larger groups to help you guys get started. And you'll be able to tell if you have a team coordinator on your schedule as well. So whenever you see that list of attendees for each meeting, if there is a star by someone's name, then that means they are your team coordinator. So any questions you have, related to the agenda for the meeting, you can go to them for questions. But yes, you will likely have other advocates in your meetings with you, unless you were the only person from your district to sign up, then you will have a House meeting by yourself. Let's see, how can we find out more about the 3 bills? Also, if we're planning to do our own ask, when do we need to have the 1-pager ready? Great question. So we do have 1-pagers, like I said, on each of the 3 bills that Dylan covered today. Those are being finalized and will be on our website very soon. So keep an eye out for that. If you're planning to make your own ask, you will want to create your 1-pager prior to your first meeting. You aren't required to run your 1-pagers by us for other asks, but if you are creating your own from scratch and you would like feedback, you're welcome to send us your 1-pagers and we will take a look at them. Let's see. Can we only use our ask if the other ask you provided had not already been covered? So that's a good question. Basically, can the same ask be made twice in a meeting? For this one, what I would focus on is, say you have a group of 5 people and 3 people want their ask to be the Help Co-Pays Act. That's great, but all 3 of you don't necessarily need to be the one to make the ask, but it would be great for all 3 to share their story related to the ask so that the member can understand how important it is to the community. And you all can kind of make that one ask together. One question is, do we have any tips for time management and making ask if you are the only advocate in the meeting? That's a great question. So we will have very few meetings with only one advocate, but if you are the only advocate in your meeting, then that means you get the whole 15 minutes to yourself. But do not feel like you have to fill that entire 15 minutes. So go in just like you would for a normal meeting, introduce yourself, share your story, share your ask, and then give them some time to ask you questions back. You know, you can ask them, do you have any questions about this ask or about my story or about being a rare disease patient in general? And, you know, kind of see if they have any questions. You guys can have that conversation with each other. And then once you're done, if you don't have any other asks to make and they don't have any other questions, then you can feel free to end the meeting early. But you definitely want to share your story and make an ask just like you would in any other meeting.
I would also add, Caitlin, really quickly, everything Caitlin just said. I would also, if you have extra time, I think that's a great opportunity for you to learn what that office is prioritizing and what that office is working on. And that's a great opportunity for you to hear from them on, you know, the healthcare issues that they're working on and maybe what opportunities there are for you to work with them. Even if, you know, for instance, the ask that you're making, they might co-sponsor it, but if they're, you know, if they're really pushing and actively working on other issues, that's great for you to know, because then you'll have a better idea of how you can help them and support them from like the rare disease point of view. So I would take the opportunity to just learn what the staffer is working on and what the office is working on, and so that you can be a good support system for them. And that's where that relationship building really comes in.
Definitely. Thank you, Shannon. That's a great tip for sure. Another question I see is, if we are meeting virtually, can we share a pamphlet virtually about our rare disease organization? Yes, absolutely. For your virtual meetings, we encourage you to share photos, pamphlets, one-pagers, just like you would for an in-person meeting. This is something that you can definitely do in your follow-up. When you send them an email, you know, highlighting your ask with your one-pager attached and thanking them for meeting with you, then you can also attach that digital pamphlet or put a link to the digital pamphlet and share it with them that way. That's definitely encouraged. Another question is, when will we find out if we were selected to be a team coordinator? We are going to be contacting team coordinators by email this week. So if you volunteer to be a team coordinator, be sure to keep an eye out in your email. Shannon, can we think of any other frequently asked questions that may be good to cover?
No, I think just reiterating, I'm sure you said this a bunch of times, but you know, really using that Rare Across America webpage as your information portal, because that's where all the one-pagers will be posted. That's where the recordings from the webinar will be posted. That's where if you have questions about the Advocacy Associates platform, that's where that recording from them on how to use that if you haven't used it in the past will be. So any information that gets out in emails, or that you're like, oh, I wonder if they have XYZ, look at that webpage, because that's where we'll be posting everything that you'll need.
Yes, definitely check out the website. We should have it updated by the end of this week with all of the good things that you will need. So keep an eye out there. Let's see, I'm just answering a couple of questions in the Q&A. This meeting is being recorded. It is going to be, the recording will be sent to you all, and it will also be posted on the Rare Cross America website. So keep an eye out there. One thing that I will add is if your availability has changed, or if you aren't sure if you signed up for virtual only or in-person house meetings, or maybe you signed up for all of them and now you can only do virtual, any kind of changes like that, reach out to me over email, and I will help get those changes made. I am going to put my email in the chat here. Any type of questions or changes that you have, feel free to reach out to me, and we will take care of it.
Yes, that is super important. If for whatever reason you can no longer attend your meetings, please make sure to let us know. From our side of things, the worst possible thing that can happen, aside from someone's health or and well-being, of course, is top priority, but it's just for a meeting to be scheduled and for no one to show up. So if you have something come up last minute, an appointment, or you're not feeling well, or your kids are home and you weren't expecting them to be home that day, please just let us know so that we can make sure that we can let the office know. And if there's only one person attending, we can make sure to let them know about that. So yes, that's very important on our end.
Awesome. Well, I'm going to go ahead and get things wrapped up. Of course, thank you to our Rare Cross America sponsors. And again, if you guys need to get in touch with myself or Shannon, you can find both of our email addresses listed here. Like Shannon said, I know we've said it a couple times, but if anything changes, if you guys have any questions or you need anything, feel free to reach out to me. And we will take care of getting schedules adjusted or whatever you may need. That's it, guys. We hope to see you all for the Share Your Story with Policymakers webinar next week. If you have any questions in the meantime, feel free to reach out to me via email, and we will have this recording over to you all soon. Thank you, guys. Have a good day.